People may choose to be in a high vigilance like a relationship that cannot be low vigilance, but we still want to choose to be in relationship with them for a myriad of reasons. We all have our own reasons. Those relationships are really freaking hard.
I can actually weave some tools into this
Mm,
answer,
thank
'cause it does lend to it, because again, the reality of it is we can't, whether it's the partner we've chosen to be with. And there were a lot of dysfunctional patterns when Lally and I first, were together, that I carried from all of the past relationships, my family being the predominant one. We can't change other people. What we can do, right? And again, this is where tools can come in outside of those foundational. I have a body, right? Let me make sure I'm paying attention to what I'm eating. Am I releasing my energy and resting as I need to? All those things that'll create that foundational safety. Really about attuning when I'm in a stress response, right? When I've
you.
reached my physical limits, my emotional energetic limits, right? When there is too much overwhelm happening. And again, while I think instinctively we love to, as I know I did, point the finger, if you would just stop, if you would just change, right? Though again, the reality of it is, what is important in those moments is not only, again, here comes the body again, to attune to my body so I can feel my stress level increasing. I can feel whether or not I have the resources even to engage with a communication or a conversation in this moment. Not to say that I won't revisit it at a time where I'm more grounded, right? These are some preemptive things. I can quite simply check in with my body, and we can use kind of markers, because certain things shift, and the most simple things that shift when we're becoming stressed. And I'm sure all of us listeners can relate to the moments where my heart starts to beat real fast, right? Or my breath quickens and I'm almost like heaving
Oh,
out of my
yeah.
chest. Or with those muscles, I start to feel tension. I'm clenching my jaw, I'm clenching my fist, right? Those are all markers, paying attention to my muscles, how tense or how kind of loose or easeful do they feel? What about my breathing? Is it really quick or is it deep and even from my belly? And how about my heart rate? Is it pounding out of my chest or is it more or less my normal rhythm? I'm shouting those areas out, right? Because again, the first tool will always be awareness. Let me check in to see how stressed I am. Because if I'm too stressed, my best choice might be not to answer that phone call right now, right? These are what boundaries are, not telling the person not to call. And I've had to put these boundaries in place with my family. We had a relationship based on stress. And now we very much have a nice boundaried, more interdependent relationship, though for
Mhm.
decades there was an urgency of phone calls and a felt pressure. I would go to bed with my phone next to my head in case something happened and I had to be on the other end. And
Dig into that example for just a second. So in that case, the phone call, if you would only pick up the phone, then you'd be good and all would be well, right? So that's like the other person coming at you. Well, you also have an instinct, well, you may not. I have an instinctual, like, in order to be good, I have to pick up the phone
yes,
or I'm going to disappoint my mom. My internal community was like, you have to do this or you're going to be disappointed. Certain there would have been a point in my own journey where checking in my body would not have been enough because that part of been like, Mary, Mary, you cannot disappoint your mom. You have to pick up the phone. I'm wanting her to not calls or to not want me to have to answer the phone. My internal community is wanting me to not want to answer the phone. But I guess all of what you just said still applies, which is
it really comes down to, in my opinion, again, a very, I think, an unpopular opinion, quite often a difficult. We have to learn how to tolerate the discomfort we feel, just for the sake of
ooh,
this conversation, when we fear and maybe our hearing, I heard, "You can't do this to me." I can't tell you how many times when I first started to enact boundaries about how we feel when we're disappointing someone. That's our discomfort. And it's not to say that we might not
mm,
get that validated right back that we're terrible. And so it's taking the space, making the choice, even though the internal monologue and your body, right? This is where it gets confused, because what we've learned to call our what has become instinctual, and some of us, myself included, are inaccurately calling our intuition, is actually our just instinctual behaviors, right?
mm,
Grounded in those conditioned roles. So we have to distinguish that. And for a lot of us, again, this all comes back to our inability to tolerate the uncomfortable feelings in our body and thoughts in our mind. Because again, you're going to feel very uncomfortable. I know I did when I started to actually put boundaries up and say, no, I'm not available for, the family dinners that happen every week, or no, I can't be available for, every health crisis because I'm building a business over here. And I still have moments where I am faced with enacting a boundary, creating space for myself in my personal or my professional world, and it feels deeply uncomfortable. So again, I just wanted to say that
Oh,
because we do have to learn how to tolerate whatever discomfort, whether it's, for us, it's disappointing people, for others, it might be coming from some other place. We have to actually learn how to embody the discomfort and navigate the discomfort in a different way, or else you're right. We're going to go right back wishing someone would just change. So I didn't have to. We have to empower ourselves to not have to by making the choices, right, to actually regulate through the discomfort that many of us are trying to avoid.